Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the situation report or the summary for the day of 876 to 877 for the 18th to the 19th of July. And before I start, I just want to tell you, Frontline Changes report is already out. It's over on the main channel. And talking about main channel and war channel, because now you're watching on the war channel, I want to address this comment that is on the main channel. And by Maximus 1984. It seems like people still don't understand what the hell is happening, why there's two different channels and whatnot. So he talked about watching other channels, but like Whip Union and Military Summary and whatnot. So which he both named the channels wrongly, is Web Union and a military channel. But anyway, whatever it is, he said that he used to watch daily and then he only watched one to two once every week or twice. Then he find that it's a pity, which is kind of weird. And he said that there is duplication along with extremely lengthy SITREP. The reality is he was watching the frontline change, which is not a duplicate. So I have no idea what he's talking about for a person that is watching only once a week. How are you going to be affected by the duplication when you're only watching once a week? So another thing is that extremely lengthy SITREP is exactly how the SITREP, the reports in the early days of war is. Every video was 40-50 minutes long during the first half a year of war. Every video was that long. You can actually travel back in time, go to look at the main channel's videos early days. It's all super long, 40, 45, 50 minutes long videos. So I don't think that is a good excuse as well. I feel like people don't understand. If I only do SITREP on the main channel and I do SITREP and frontline changes, basically two videos, that's exactly what military summary is doing. Whip Union nowadays you don't do that, but no, you publish two videos a day. That's the minimum. That's the best way of publishing video on the frequency where it doesn't cannibalize each other. So, but the thing is, if I do that, I can't cover geopolitics at all. So that is the problem. A lot of people ask me to cover more global news, current affairs, geopolitics. I can't cover it if I don't have a second channel. This is why the war channel exists, so that the Ukraine war SITREP can be pushed to the war channel so that I can use the main channel to cover geopolitics. This is the reason why there's two channels. So otherwise, if you look at military summary or Whip Union, they probably will struggle to find airspace or airtime to publish other news, be it Israel, Gaza war, be it Sudan war or whatever, or geopolitics. They have to put it into their Ukraine war report, and it will just not be relevant at most of the time. So, and a lot of them they all just gave up on Israel, and because or Sudan, because nobody watches that. No, the number of viewers for those wars are very little, and again, that is the reason why I need a war channel, because all this war reporting, even if very few people watch, if I do create them, I can put it someplace or put it in the main channel where people can catch it. So the regular frequent reporting of the Ukraine war does not affect me from preventing myself to create more videos. That is the reason why there is so many channels, and it's actually not a lot. The active channels, there's only 3 active channels currently: the main channel, the war channel, and the DPA open mic. And clearly DPA open mic is a quiet taste. A lot of people don't like it because you don't want to listen to nobody talking, but some people love to listen to nobody talking. Then you have to be on a separate channel, because if not, it affects the algorithm, it messes things up. So this is how YouTube plays the game. I have no choice. This is not Netflix. No, I'm not Netflix. No, I'm one video on the Netflix, put it that way. So I have to put it in multiple channels. I thought that I need to explain this, but clearly Maximus is not going to watch this video because he only watched once a week. So I'm not sure what's the complaint about. I no longer do duplicate videos because I actually personally don't like to do it. I did it because I have no choice. I was struggling to find ways to make the video, the content strategy works. So for those that don't understand, email, he said that he don't understand. He said I make too much changes. Stick to my format. But the problem is this guy actually complains about my lengthy SITREP format. So I actually introduce new things so that I'm not war in Ukraine. War Ukraine now, which was one of the OGs along with military summary and DPA, his views is now hardly even 10K. I think only half of that, 4 to 5Ks. Introducing new things is important, and yeah. So there is this just how the algorithm works. I just want to clarify these things before I start the SITREP. I think this is very important. People don't understand that if I can put all in one channel, I would have done all in one channel. I can one day publish 4, 5, 6 videos a day. I have no problem doing that, all putting on the same channel. But because I did that before, the views suffered because the videos are fighting each other. Even with different channels, they are still fighting each other because the subscriber base is the same, which is also why when Military Summary or Whip Union post videos, it also affects DPA's view because the subscriber base is the same. It is not just about channels, but it's also about the subscriber base being the same, which affects. Which means that I have to have a new channel, which you're probably going to see, the DPA news channel. I haven't published anything yet, but hopefully that will gather viewers that is totally unrelated to Ukraine war. And people who are interested in geopolitics and current affairs will watch it, and it will, elevate away from the effect of how Ukraine war reporting and the war fans are affecting the DPA's viewership and thus the revenue. So this aside, so for those that watch to this point, thank you for watching. That you listen to me rant for the past 6 minutes, but it's not ranting, but it's just informing. I really want to tell you guys this because it's very important. And now we go into the situation report, and thank you for those that stay to this point. If this video tanks, it is what it is. But I mean, I always used to chit chat with you guys, right? So anyway, the frontline changes report, as I mentioned, already started, so already dropped. So I got to go into the strategy and tactical reporting. And first thing first is the Ukrainian MiG-29 getting shot down on the 18th of I put the wrong month. 18th of July. And so that's 2 days ago. However, in the past 24 hours, on the 19th of July, a Russian Sukhoi 25 got shot down. So it is a tick for tack in a way. So each have lost one fighter jet. Moving into the Sumy region, there is Russian forces attacking in this area, which I did mention in the highlight yesterday. Russian forces attack in Obody, Zuravka, as well as Uroidi. So this is 3 different locations that the Russians are harassing the Ukrainians. This seems to be, trying to test the Ukrainians' defense around here and see how the Ukrainians react in Sumy. The problem with for the Ukrainians is that if they do not react to these attacks or do not send in more forces to secure Sumy region, the Russians may start another Kharkiv offensive like thing, where they will just start a new front line and stretch the Ukrainian forces further. If there is a very strong force over at Sumy, then the Russians may be deterred from doing it. But then to have a strong force in Sumy means weakening the front line in other places. So it is going to be a very, very difficult decision making for the Zaluzhny. No more Zaluzhny. Syrsky. So he have to decide. Syrsky is the commander-in-chief for Ukraine, in case you do not know. So it will be a very hard decision right now. And you look at the cluster of icons around here, Russian forces has been harassing Sumy for some time already. And not just in the north, also in the south here, near Velika Pasarivka. So the Russian forces in the eventual offensive could attack in 2 different sectors. And probably even from here if they choose to, but maybe they won't. So, maybe a smaller front around here, maybe a small front around here with the big push in this area here. This is the 2 big push, and that would just mess up everything for the Ukrainians. So I think we shall see. I'm not sure how crazy is the Russians. Going to the Kharkiv front, at the Kharkiv front, we have fighting continue over at the Lipsy sector, Starysia sector, as well as the Voschan sector. Over the Lipsy sector, there is some interesting reports. Based on the information from Ryba, the pro-Russian source reported there were some amphibious operations over at the Traviansky reservoir, where the Ukrainian forces tried to cross the reservoir, and it didn't succeed. I'm not sure why it didn't succeed. Did the Russians fire at them and then they retreated, or did they sunk the ships or the boats? I'm not sure. So if they manage to do some special force landing, the Ukrainians could potentially, disrupt logistic, do ambushes in the rear positions that would mess up the Russians' offensive or defensive operations around at Klipoke region. So otherwise, but this did seemingly did not work out, at least according to the Russian information. So on the strategic situation sense, Russian forces are attacking Lipsy as well as Klipoke, while the Ukrainians are attacking at Klipoke. Otherwise, this is the interesting situation around at Lipsy sector, which is something new, something interesting. There is also Russian airstrike reported at Lipsy, so situation remains to be pretty challenging for the Ukrainian forces around here. Over at the Starisia sector, there's a Russian airstrike invalidating part of this claims, but the Russian claims that was mapped 2 days ago. There is some clash in Starisia with the Russians. So we shall see how this develop. This area here is pretty much in the fog of war. We don't really exactly know where the fighting is, where the front line actually looks like. So the discrepancy between the two mappings is very big. So we shall have to just wait for more information to reveal itself. Over at the Voschan sector, at the Battle of Voschansk, the Ukrainian forces seem to have some success. Over in the eastern part of Voschansk, they are now pushing east again and manage to do some good move. However, this attracts a Russian TOS attack, which is a thermobaric rocket attack, which actually probably wipe out quite a number of soldiers in the process. So the Ukrainians are making this move because the front line over in the center is looking pretty bad, with the Russian forces securing the aggregate plant largely over from the southern side, and the Ukrainian forces are getting struck in the center with airstrikes. The fat bombs are dropping on the Ukrainians, so Ukrainian forces are holding the line, and they need to find an alternative, some miracle. So hitting towards the eastern part makes sense, and I did long time ago compliment the Ukrainians for it, because I think this is the right thing to do if they really want to break out from the current conundrum. However, breaking out from this area here will still take effort, and whether they have the means to do it, it remains to be seen. Because if the Ukrainians can actually storm to the rear position, ignoring the fighting in the city area, just by fighting, going into the rear position would force the Russians to reconsider, their posture. They will have to react to this Ukrainian incursion to the rear. But of course, it doesn't seem like that easy to be done. So no, this is not done yet. Over at Taike, there is also reports of fighting. Ukrainian forces are attacking at Taike, and Vochansky Kotori was actually mentioned by two majors, another pro-Russian source. So probably over in this area on the west of Taike. So the Russians, and including with this eastern Voschansk attack, you can see that there is some multi-prone attack towards Russian positions around here on the northwest of Taike. Maybe I should pull this around here a bit, so you probably can see it better. So that's the current situation with the Russian forces under pressure from multiple directions around here. So not a bad move. No, honestly, it's not a bad move. So we shall see how the Russians react to this thing, and so the Ukrainians are trying their best. And of all the front line, I think in the Kharkiv front, the Ukrainians have their best troops. The troops fighting around here is better than the Avdiivka one. So I think this is where the action's gonna be. Over at the Kupiansk front, Russian forces are attacking in the Kupiansk region. So we're gonna cut it in three. So we have the Sinkivka sector, the Stepova Novoselivka sector, as well as the Pishani sector. Also, over at this northern part, Russian forces are attacking at Sinkivka and towards Petropavlivka. Some geolocation of a Russian airstrike in Petropavlivka. So that is the situation over here. The pressure remains, but no, not much changes was being observed. Over at this Stepova Novoselivka region, Russian forces are reportedly fighting in the area of Ivanivka and Stepova Novoselivka. Some geolocation of airstrike shows the Russians are conducting close air support over the further location in the junction where the Ukrainians have a strong defensive position was also hit by the airstrike. But the Ukrainian Defense Ministry name dropped Novosionove again. Novosionove is very far from the front line. I'm not sure why they call this location again. I'm still trying to figure out what does this supposed to mean. Novosionove. So yeah, I wonder if this area here is considered as Novosionove as well. So I'm not sure if that's the case, but very, very peculiar. Further south from this location, we have the Pishane region where the Russians are conducting their assault within the battle of Pishane, and also fighting was reported in the area of Berestove. So this area here is now in the operational silence. We have no reports or information about the Battle of Pishane, despite the battle is already inside the settlement itself. So the fact that the fighting is inside, there must be some serious clash around here. And I think the next update that we will get in Pishane is going to be shocking, because there will be some major frontline changes when the information finally get floated. So we shall just wait and see. I just realized my vocabulary is getting better. There's more and more words I can use rather than epic, massive, great. But yeah, it works anyway. So over at Svetove front, there is fighting reported at Stemakivka. There is no further updates regarding this. There was supposedly, the Battle of Stemakivka supposed to happen because of the Russian incursion all the way to the edge of the settlement. By right, the Russians should be able to attack into Stemakivka already, but we have no information at all, and it has been for some time already. So we just have to wait and see. Maybe the Ukrainians have retaken this tree line, or the Russians did not stay there. That could also be possible. So let's see how this goes. Moving into the southern part, over at the Grakivka region, Russian forces are still reportedly attacking towards Grakivka. According to the Ukrainian side, Russian forces are fighting in the battle of Makiivka, with a new frontline change over in the northeastern part of Makiivka. So this is ongoing. No more updates regarding the battle of Makiivka. Over at the Kremina front, in the northern half, we have Russian fighting at Nevsky towards Novosadove and Terny. And particularly in Nevsky, that's where there's some major frontline changes. Over on the eastern part of Nevsky, Russian forces continue to make good progress over at the Gali region, which actually, this is just a disclaim by the Ukrainian side. The Russians have already mapped it in this way for quite some time. So the Russians are going to continue to make some push. This Gali is also known as the Zuravka Gali. So it's something like a shallow valley kind of place. So let's move on. Over at the Kremina, southern half of the Kremina front itself, Russian forces are now counter-attacking over in the Serivansky forestry. They are also attacking at Torske. So there is geolocation of some airstrikes within the forest region of Dibrova, as well as within the forest just off Krykhovivka. So that's about it from this area in the Kremina front. So over at the Sivers front, there is some serious situation developing around at the Sivers, where the entire strategic situation is totally compromised. Russian forces are attacking at Bilohorivka, Verkhomokoyamsky, Sperne, Ivano-Darivka, Vimka, Rozdolivka, and Perezny. So particularly, we have the southern half going into chaos for the Ukrainians. So zooming in, Russian forces have captured Ivano-Darivka. This has come as a huge surprise, and it could be directly a result of the fall of Spurny. So with this development, I think Spurny is actually also considered captured. In fact, I should actually declare this Spurny as captured as well, because this entire settlement should be considered captured. But this is a Russian claim, so I think that we can wait for Deep State UA's update. I think Deep State UA still have not acknowledged the fall of Ivano Darivka yet. They are trying to clarify the information from their Ukrainian Defense Ministry sources. So we wait for the update from the Ukrainian side. Once the Ukrainians have confirmed Ivano Darivka's fall, and I look at how their mapping goes, they may actually concede Spurny as well. So then we will see Spurny falling to the Russians, finally for good. Because the Russians have been claiming Spurny so many times over the past 2.5 years. Sometimes, I don't really believe it anymore. Because Spurny itself, the meaning is disputed. So it's the most disputed village, across the entire Ukraine war. So finally we have from my position, Ivano Darivka is already captured. I'm quite sure this is the reality right now, and I've already declared the Russian forces captured Ivano Darivka. And with the Ukrainians disclaiming the entire of of Rozdolivka, Russian forces also have confirmed to have captured Rozdolivka. And Russian mapping have shown that the Russians have entered into Peresny. So the Battle of Peresny has now begun. So the Russians is going to start attacking up Peresny towards Zvanivka. And this is going to complicate everything, because from Ivano Darivka, they can actually swing west towards Vimka. So a lot of settlements is going to be totally unsettled. The entire Ukrainian force here would be forced to redraw if this develops, because the next move is going to be a pincer. So we shall see how this progress, but the Seversk front unbelievably is now collapsing. One of the strongest front line for the Ukrainians is now in tatters. They still have very, very strong defenses in the northern half, but if you lose the southern half, the Russians can just go into the rear position. It will just collapse the whole front. It doesn't matter. So it is what it is. Moving into the Bakhmut front, at the northern half of the Bakhmut front, Russian forces are still reportedly attacking towards Novomakove, and they are fighting reported at Kalinina and Chasivia. Kalinina has already been captured by the Russian forces, so I think the Russians are going to continue to develop the front line along the entire canal region, which means the capture of Krychorivka as well. So this is we shall see this development slowly, which is probably why we are seeing reports about fighting at Krychorivka for most of the cases. The last report was on the 15th, and now we have to report at Novomakove, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So over the southern half, there is fighting reported at Ivanivske. This is a question mark. No idea what the hell the fighting is. And the Ukrainian Defense Ministry now mentioned Bilohora again. So Bilohora, last report was on the 8th of July. So Russian forces are probably pushing out of Kudyumivka, and they are heading west towards Bilohora. This is a possibility, but I'm not sure if the Russians really want to commit this much into the western bank of this canal. So, but let's wait and see how this develops. There's no frontline changes or mapping to show what exactly is happening, so we do not know exactly the reality over this in this location. Over the New York front, as usual, there is the Torak sector and the New York sector. At the Torak sector, Russian forces are attacking at Druzhba, over at Pivnishny, Zalizny, Pivdeny, and their shelling reported at Torets. And the Russians also bomb a bridge north of Petrivka. What is this location? In Shchbivnivka. So Shchbivnivka is over here. So this is the current strategic situation at Torets. And some major developments around here would be the Russians taking another small street over at Druzhba. So, and this one thing. Over at the New York region, not New York, in the Zalizny region, Russian forces expand their control a little bit, which actually confirms that they have a very strong foothold around this region right now. And some claims about them taking more grounds around Pivdeny based on their mapping. but it wouldn't be much meaningful because the trench network around here is very complicated and very strong. So I don't think the Russians are going to pay attention around in the Pivdene region. I think they will just go towards the rear position in Zalizny and just force a Ukrainian mass withdrawal from this front line. So that's the Torak sector. In the New York sector, the situation remains largely the same. Russian forces are expanding their control around the column in Urivka, as well as opposite of the Urivka in the cemetery region, mostly securing the entire southern part of New York. They are still trying to storm towards the train station in New York, while there is fighting reported at Oleksandropil. So that's the situation here. In the center of New York, as mentioned previously, there's a railway station seemingly around here. Russian forces are trying to get there. They are trying to get here, and they have already made some good progress around here. I think the manpower situation on the Ukrainian side in New York is pretty poor, which allows the Russians to probably able to swarm to different places. It's not going to be, the fighting here is not as intense as it was during the Battle of Bakhmut. So this is nowhere close to the Battle of Bakhmut level of fighting. So, and interestingly is that there is a industrial zone here, which is the Incor or the KHP phenolic plant. So there's this major plant around here. I'm not sure if the Ukrainians would use this as a major defensive position, which the Ukrainians used to do in the first year of war. But with the advancement of Russian weaponry, with Fab 3000s now, and then the thermobaric missiles, staying in a build-up region can be very health hazardous. Over in the northern half of the Avdiivka front, Russian forces are attacking at Kalinove. This is harassment. I don't pay too much attention to this. Fighting reported at Novo-Oleksandrivka, Vodizenka, Luzovatsky. But this area here, there's no frontline change. The main push is actually at progress, where the Russians are making developments around there, and fighting reported at Yekhanivka. So we will zoom into progress. So as per mentioned in the frontline changes report, I wish I go into details. Russian forces most likely have captured the entirety of progress. Because they raised the flag here doesn't necessarily mean that they have captured the entire settlement, but most likely they are, because of how relaxed the soldiers seems to be, which means that there's a lack of threat in the region. Which also means that the Ukrainians may not be at Vozchev. They might actually have withdrawn to some other positions away from this area where they felt that the position has been compromised. Which means that the defenders at the Avdiivka front have been grinded to the point where they don't really have the soldiers that is willing to hold the ground at all costs. Which means that we're going to see much more maneuver warfare as we speak. But the entire region here is just full of entrenchments. So it's not like the Russians can just move anywhere they want. This is just heavily defended. Think of it like no tower defense. The Ukrainians have a lot of defensive position all over the place. So the Russians will have to maneuver very wisely in order to fight. So over the central region, the Russian forces, central region is here. So Russian forces are attacking in Novoselivka, Persia, in the Umansky region towards Skushny and Yasnoborodivka. And particularly, this is interesting because Kushne is the first time. This is the first time we see Kushne being mentioned in any report. So this is the first time we see Kushne, which means that the Russians are already making progress from Umansky direction towards Kushne. So, and in the Battle of Novoselivka, Persia situation, of course, going from bad to worse. We have no updates over the past 24 hours in terms of the front line around here. This update was actually reported from 2 days ago, where the Russian forces conquered most of the northern half of Novoselivka, Persia. And I mentioned before, I expect the Russians to attack from the southeast, and from the southeast as well as on the western part. So this will force the Ukrainians into just one path to retreat, and it will be just a calamity. So I think the battle is going to be over very soon, because strategically and tactically speaking, this is just untenable for the Ukrainians. They have to find a better defensive position. Moving into the Krasnohorivka region, On the Donetsk front, Russian forces are still battling in Krasnohorivka and fighting reported at Masimilivka. But that's about it. There's no details in terms of the fighting here. Moving south at the Konstantinivka region, there is fighting reported in the region of Konstantinivka and Paraskovievka. Similarly, we have no much details. So actually, I should zoom out because it will be a bit more clear. So Krasnohorivka, Masimilivka, Paraskovievka, Konstantinivka. There's fighting reported towards Vodian. There's fighting reported at Voleda. So this is the current situation with the front line heading in this northwestern direction. In the Vodian region, I invalidated the capture into just Russian presence. So the Russian mapping will extend to this far out. However, there will be a massive gray zone. The overlapping mapping will be there. But Russian claims that they have captured more grounds in this area here. This is where the Russians actually firmly claim. But we shall see. So fighting is moving towards Vodian, and the fact that the Russians can reach over here means that the Ukrainian defenses around here is extremely weak to allow an armored vehicle to fly that far out. Russian forces are also attacking in the area of Voleda, probably just to put pressure on the Ukrainians, probably just some shelling reports. So that's about it. Moving away, Velika Novosilka sector had went quiet, very quiet around here. And we move on over at the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, we have fighting reported in Malatomashka, Robotine, towards Novodanilivka, towards Novoandrievka, at Nesteryanka, as well as Shebaki. And you can see the front line is getting very activated. Whether is it in play, I'm not sure yet, but the number of fighting around here is getting so pretty high. So we shall see. There is a Russian airstrike in the north of Robotine, and another Lancet attack was reported at Malatomashka. Talking about Lancet attack, there is not that much Lancet attack recently. I'm not sure if it is due to the lack of targets or is it due to lack of munition, the lack of drones. So Lancet attacks has reduced by a lot recently. For the past 2-3 weeks, there's the number of Lancet attacks videos coming out is very little. So most of it we see are airstrikes nowadays. There's a lot of airstrikes. Feb 500, Feb 1500, Feb 3000. So we shall see. But a real offensive coming in this region here would be disastrous for the Ukrainians because the Ukrainians are already very stretched. There is a Tunguska anti-aircraft system getting destroyed just off Yokivka. So that's one strike. It was destroyed by a Lancet. So yeah, the air defense cannot defend itself from air attack. So yeah, that's the reality in today's warfare right now. And moving into the Kherson front. At the Kherson front, the most biggest news here is about Krinky. So there is a fighting reported at Krinky, which resulted in Ukrainian withdrawal of forces from Krinky. Actually, it's force, no S, just one guy. And the Russians captured Krinky. There is a shelling reported at Novotekhinka, as well as this location called Zmivnik. And there is also some geolocation of Lancet striking artillery, as well as a guided missile attack over at Buhunka. So number of strikes around here. Ukrainian Defense Ministry still reported Russians attacking the Ukrainian beachheads in the left bank or the southern bank of the Dnieper River. Most likely is over at the Dnipropetrovsk region, because Krinky is already gone. It's now fully captured. Oh, there's one more here. Also a guided missile attack around here. So this, I should put this in yellow. So this is the current strategic situation at the Kherson front. At Krinky, as I mentioned in the frontline changes report, the first one of the story that the Ukrainian side have developed, saying that the final trench was actually attacked on the 17th. Is it? On the 17th of June. 17th of June, that was a long time ago. So anyway, this is some ridiculous lead information, but whatever it is, the only one guy survived. Everyone died. So when the Ukrainian forces retreat into the northern side, and Russian forces now have fully conquered Krinky. And but I'm not sure if that is it feels a bit weird because if you look at the Russian, Ukrainian Defense Ministry, let's see, where's the report? Okay, on the east of Krinky, or this one. So, based on Deep State UA, based on the reports from Ukrainian Defense Ministry previously, there was still fighting report on the 14th of July. So, to say that they have already retreated or in the June of 17 feels a bit weird. Whatever it is what it is. The Russian forces captured Krinky, and that's all that matters. So the end of the story of Krinky. So that's the end of it. I just noticed. No wonder I saw the comment talking about June. Despite it's already July. Yeah. So that's the problem with Deep State UA. They do withhold information until they cannot hold it anymore. So they do not report fake stuff, but they just withhold information. So that is the problem with Deep State. But otherwise, they are very, very accurate. So anyway, thank you for watching. This is the summary for the day of 876 to 877 for the 18th to the 19th of July. Press the like button, subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update and at the DPA open mic. And enjoy your weekend.